way, as we see in our final report. Mrs. Barbara Hannis of Memphis has 3 guests from Holland in town this week. While they're here, she's busy showing them the sights and sounds of the city, the usual places that tourists to Memphis would want to see. And since this is August, those places include, of course, the places that Elvis Presley made famous. Sun Recording Studio, and, of course, Graceland, the singer's home. But Mrs. Hannis's guests aren't your usual tourists. Their interest in Presley history is for a reason, and that reason is this 27-year-old who is making his name in Holland as a Presley look-alike singer. His stage name is Lester McCartney. His given name is Coos Velders of Overijssel, the Netherlands. McCartney is probably one of hundreds of Elvis Presley look-alikes and singers who visit Memphis each year. And since the opening of Graceland, there probably have been even more making the pilgrimage. But his story is a bit different. He speaks little, very little English, but he knows and sings over 260 of the late entertainer's songs in English. This impressed Mrs. Hannis when she first met McCartney in Holland and led to her telling others here in this country about him. She told us about him, so Mrs. Hannis, along with McCartney and his managers, came by this station to talk with us this week. While here, he changed into his stage outfit and showed us just what people in Holland are talking about.
Well, that's all right, your mama. That's all right for you. That's all right, your mama. Just the same way you do. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's all right. Well, that's all right, your mama. Any way you do. Mama, she don't tell me. Barbara don't tell the truth. Son, that careful in the box, she said, you know, for you. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right, your mama. Any way you do. I'm leaving town tomorrow. Leaving town for sure. And you won't be bothered with me hanging around your door. But it's all right. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right, your mama. Any way you do.
This is part of the sort of mini performance he gave to Mrs. Hannis, too, when she visited the Netherlands earlier this summer. She had visited the country last year as part of a friendship program, but this summer she and her daughter went again as part of their vacation.
What happened was that we were looking in a record shop. Of course, his picture was in the Holland paper. And I'm always, I'll go see an Elvis imitator. I like to check them out, So we went to the record shop, bought the tape. We listened to it twice through. Went home, played the tape. So my daughter and I decided that it was some big, Colonel Parker had putting out Elvis's tape over there with somebody else's picture on it. So that afternoon we'd been home about 2 hours, and Gary said someone was there to see me. And here was Mr. Hillian, his manager, and he came in and asked me, "You Barbara Hannis from Memphis?" I said, "Yes." And he asked me, "How did you like Lester?" Well, at first it didn't ring a bell, and then he said, "The tape you bought." And I said, "Well, to be truthful, I thought it was Elvis, and that you were using somebody else." And so he said, when he heard that, he said, "Well, tomorrow afternoon we'll give you a performance in the garden." They had a garden, beautiful garden. So he left. And the next day we got up, we went to Germany, and I was, didn't know if they'd come or not, but I made sure I was packed. By 2:30 there they came with equipment, set it up in the garden. 3 o'clock, the Space Odyssey was playing. Carol and I was sitting out in the patio. Here he dashed through the door with a jumpsuit. I like to die.
No.
And after that, he sang 2 songs. Well, Carol and I were sitting at the table. I said, "He's not singing that. They're playing some Elvis's tape, and he's just pantomiming." So on the 3rd song, he sang, "Are You Lonesome Tonight?" And he came over and got me up out of the chair, Well, I put my arm around him and made sure that I could get up close enough. And he was singing the song, so I sat down, and Carol said, what's wrong? Said, you look white. I said, he is singing that song, Carol. Carol said, is he? I said, yes, he is. And he sang for about an hour. After that, he stayed, they did, for about an hour and a half. Martin, the people that we were staying with were here last year, and they made pictures of the mansion, and he wanted to look at the pictures, but he sounds better than any imitator that I've heard, and I've heard everything that's been in Memphis and Las Vegas.
So you invited him here?
Well, I told him, I said, now, if you ever can, come to Memphis during the, the month of August to perform. So I was home 2 weeks, and the phone rang, and it was Willie. He said, Barbara, we're coming to Memphis, bringing Les to see Graceland. So here they are.
McCartney's managers accompanied him to Memphis. They talked about his first interests in Presley.
That's a long time ago. He comes out of a big musical family, and everybody in his family do something with music. And he had some records from Elvis. He was famous on that time in Holland as well as here in America. And then he started to sing the songs of Elvis. And that's going better and better.
I understand that he knows almost all, or quite a few, of Elvis's songs. In English?
In English, because there are a lot of fans in Holland around, and you buy every single or every LP that's coming out from Elvis. And then he is so interested, his voice is so good that he tried to sing like Elvis, and he sings like Elvis.
I'd like a little comment from him. Perhaps you could translate it for us.
Okay.
How do you feel being in Memphis for the first time and seeing the home of a man so famous?
Yeah, what do I feel? It's exciting. It's exciting. Wonderful.
For a young singer of any nationality, the impact of being around history, around the beginnings and the eventual following that a person of Presley's stature could only bring, can be exciting and overwhelming. Meanwhile, coos velders, now Les McCartney, works at improving what he does, keeping in mind the irreplaceable image he and many others are trying to mirror. Well, that's our program for this afternoon. Join us next week for Dateline Memphis.